Hello, ladies. How are you? I am here tonight with probably the most organized, but then also the best at like sales funnels and lead generation and just organizing your entire business, Alyssa Coleman. And I'm super excited you're here. Every time we chat, honestly, you've personally taught me so much. And part of the reason why, TLC is here today is also because of you. Alyssa single-handedly helped me get like my email list together and all of my shit together when building my business. So thank you, Alyssa. And I love bringing her here. And today she's going to talk to you ladies about making your most productive day and helping you get your life in order so that you're not just like overwhelmed and you just get more shit done. So I'm going to let Alyssa introduce herself because I know she does a lot and she can tell you more about what she does. And if you want to get a hold of her, I am going to put all of her information in the, depending on where you're watching this from, all of her information is somewhere, either above or below. And so reach out, send her a DM or reach out to her for some of her programs or one-on-one stuff if you need more help. So Alyssa, go ahead, introduce yourself and everything that you're going to chat with us about today.
All right, cool. Hey guys. I'm so happy to be here. I always love hanging out with everyone in the ladies community. It's always like, you guys have a really great vibe, a really good community. So I always love hanging out with you guys. And today we're talking about literally my favorite thing to do ever, which is to map out your perfect work week. And this can be whether you have a full-time job and a side hustle, or two side hustles, a part-time job, or you're like a mom and you're on baby duty all day but you're working on something at night, or whatever. This could be really for anything. If you want to get organized, if you're feeling that level of overwhelm that I know all of us have, then this is going to really help you out. I'm going to probably be using specific examples for running an online business, because I know that a lot of us, that's kind of what we've got going on here. But feel free to ask me specific questions about your situation as we move throughout the webinar. And I should actually introduce myself. So I'm a productivity strategist and I work with mostly online entrepreneurs, so course creators, influencers, bloggers, all of that stuff. And I help them create a really productive strategy for their business. So we figure out what is the big goal of your business, what's the thing that you want the most out of running your business, and then we find the strategy, or what I call the most direct route to get you to that goal. Super important. And it's not just about doing for the sake of doing and more and hustle and all of this stuff that's like really easy to get caught up in. It's about like getting you closer to that big dream ASAP. So let's talk about how to leverage your work week and the time that you actually spend at your desk in order to get you closer to that dream. Cool? Cool. How come I can't click here? There we go. Okay, so game plan, so you know what you're in for. Here's what's going to go down tonight. So number one, I'm going to take you through the step-by-step process that I use with all of my clients to make sure that they have a really, really productive work week. So this is important. I usually redo this in my business a couple times per year. So even if you, have something similar to this, or you've created one before, it's always a good idea to go back to it and to kind of reassess where you're at. So this is the process that I do usually quarterly. I'm also going to show you how to create a productive calendar and schedule your unique perfect day. So this is usually different for everyone, and it's really important to have a calendar that really suits you so you can get more done in less time, and most importantly, to create that momentum in your business. Momentum is like what entrepreneurs and creatives really thrive off of, so that's a real North Star for us when we're creating calendars. Okay, we're also going to dive into how to get the headspace and time in your calendar so that you can focus on both day-to-day tasks as well as your next big dream. So that big thing that you want, I know that that's really what defines progress for a lot of us. Plus, then we're going to talk about the distilled daily business habits of high earners and high achievers. That's like a tongue twister. But basically, these are 4 really essential tasks that I think everyone should be completing every single day. I don't shut up about them. This is like my holy grail. If I could only do a couple of things in my business, it would be have a really productive calendar and to master these 4 things and do them every single day. So I'm going to kind of give you a little bit of both so you can implement those into your business. Yeah, so I've kind of told you my deal productivity strategist. And I kind of fell into this world, if I'm being honest. I was, and kind of still am, a recovering procrastinator. I was not always type A, organized, all of that stuff. I'm still not. If you saw my desk, it's kind of a mess. Like, I've created these strategies because I understand what it's like to procrastinate and, like, you know, really cry it out because you've left things to last minute and you're overwhelmed and you feel like you have all these really big dreams and you have notebooks and notebooks and notebooks full of all this incredible stuff that you want to bring to life, but just feel like you're getting nowhere closer to it. So I started creating these systems and really implementing these things as a creative and as somebody who feels like a free spirit, or somebody who really hates rules and feeling like, you know, I didn't want to feel like I was being told what to do. So I created something that allowed me to have that creative freedom, but also gave me a roadmap and, you know, a framework that allowed me to work towards those big goals. So I didn't feel like I was staring at my vision board and feeling like resentment because I wasn't getting anywhere closer to those big things on my vision board. Which I should mention that actually one of the very first things on my vision board ever, like my first ever vision board, I am checking off my list this year in January of 2020. So the shit works and I can fully stand behind it. Okay, so let's get into it. We're creating your calendar. I definitely want every single person to have their calendar out. Either you can use a Google Calendar or just get a notebook and kind of start, you know, working on it there. So you can kind of create, like, you know, just draw out Monday to Friday and see how you want it to look. And then you can take that and put it into your calendar if you want. Okay, step one actually has nothing to do with your calendar. This is the brain dump. This is super important and actually one of my favorite parts. So all you're going to do is you're going to basically get everything out of your head. So I want you to start on a blank piece of paper, start making a giant list of everything that you do. So like, it's kind of crazy. As you start writing this list, you'll probably notice, and I want you guys to like take action and do it now as you're watching this, cool? That way you can ask me questions and like see, you know, as things are coming out of your brain and onto paper. But it's crazy when you start making the list, you'll notice like more and more and more stuff starts coming out of you. You're like, oh yeah, I actually do, you know, do this. And oh, you know what? About 3 times a day, I jump into my Facebook group to check if everyone's okay in there or not. So I want you to literally write down everything that you do every single day, or things that you do every week, things that you do once per month, things you do quarterly. If you can think of things that you do once per year, go ahead, add it onto the list. This is going to be kind of a living document, something that I want you to start to track over maybe the next week or something like that, but start to track all the things that you do, because you can, you know, start brain dumping now, but I think you'll start to notice if you start being really present with what you're doing throughout the week, you'll start to notice little things that you maybe don't even realize you're doing, but are a big part of what you do every single week. So start making that giant brain dump. And then we're going to create a little chart with a couple columns that I will walk you through in one sec. Meg says she has a 2-hour bath a day. Okay, Meg, add that in. Yeah, add all of those things in. Like I actually have worked with, I don't know if any of you guys know Jenna Kutcher. She's kind of, she's a photographer turned course creator, and she's really quite cool. And she is very productive, but she takes a nap every single day. And I have a couple of clients who actually take naps in the middle of the day. And when I first heard this, I was like, no, you guys can't have naps. Like, what do you mean? You're like, you're not, you know, toddlers. But it turns out lots of people feel so recharged by having a nap in the middle of the day, and they actually get so much more done. So if you want to nap, if you want to take a 2-hour bath, if you like walk the dog, you know, 3 times a day, write that shit down, get it onto your brain dump list, and really start getting through all of it. Joanne says she loves naps. So add it in. You know, I definitely want you to add mostly work things here, but anything, any appointments, if you have to go to the chiropractor once a week, like add that in. Yeah, add it all in there. And then we're going to go ahead to a new page, and we're going to create 4 columns. I want you to break it down into column number 1, all of the tasks that you do. Column number 2 is going to be for how long you think each one of those tasks is going to take. Column number 3 just needs to say DEAD, and then column number 4 is either, it should say section or theme or something like that. So it should look something like this. All right, task, time, DEAD, and section. Cool. And so start adding, next to all of those things that you have there, I want you to start asking yourself how long you actually think it's going to take. And you can start to, kind of project these things, kind of estimate how long do you usually take to write a blog post, how long do you usually take to, check your emails every day. But I also really actually recommend using something like rescuetime.com or something like that that actually monitors what you do throughout the day and tells you how long you're spending on certain things. So you spent 30 minutes in your inbox, 50 minutes on Facebook, 20 minutes in Google Docs. Like it starts to monitor what you do, and it's actually really interesting and kind of a cool experiment. I've done it a couple of times to see, where I'm losing time, where I'm spending a lot of time, and also to be realistic with how long I spend on things. Because the key here is to be really, really honest and really generous. Because I notice that so many entrepreneurs are like, oh yeah, write an email to my list. That'll take me 10 minutes, easy, no problem. And then the truth of the matter is you end up, sitting down to write the email to your list, and then you get distracted by some other emails, and then you look at your phone, and then you go make yourself some tea, and then you come back, and then you brain dump a couple ideas, and then you go do this, and it ends up taking you 40 minutes. And that's fine. Taking 40 minutes to write an email, or an hour, however long it takes you, is totally fine. But the second that your calendar says 20 minutes, and now you've passed that, and you've now spent 40 minutes, you're going to start to feel behind. You're going to start to feel that stress, that overwhelm, and you're going to lose momentum. And like I said, that's the thing that stresses entrepreneurs out the most. So I actually prefer that you're really generous and you say, you know what, writing an email to my list, let's say it's going to take me an hour and a half, and you go ahead and give yourself so much extra time, then you're done after 40 minutes, and you're like, oh my God, I have another, 30 minutes or 40 minutes to go ahead and do whatever I want. I can take a break. I can get ahead on my next thing. Maybe I'll batch and I'll do 2 emails really quick and get one ready for next week. And that's what gets you feeling that momentum. But the opposite, if you, start to feel behind, you might just be like, oh my God, I'm behind. Screw it. I'm going to go take a long lunch. I need a nap. I'm stressed. This is where we start to really lose momentum. And this is one of the biggest things that stresses us out. Let me see. I think there's a comment here. My students just told me this week that they spend 7 hours on their phone. Holy crap. Check that screen time. It's wild how quickly it adds up. I agree. You know what? I've been making a habit. Once a week, I track a bunch of my numbers in my business, and I've been making it a habit to check my numbers on my phone as well, to track and see, was last week a really unproductive week and I was spending a lot of time on my phone, or even not to get into mental health and stuff like that, but if you had kind of a shitty week and you noticed you spent a lot of time on Instagram, it's interesting to kind of start to track those things. So I've started doing that once per week. And that's actually, something I should add here. A lot of people ask me this. They say, listen, I need to be on Instagram. It's part of my job. I need to post on Facebook, or, maybe Vanessa needs to be in a Facebook group because a lot of her community has to do with people posting in that Facebook group and creating connections and networking and asking questions about events and stuff like that. Right. So how do you avoid it? I can't turn my phone off. I can't go on airplane mode all day. It's just not realistic. So what do you do? And I have a couple quick tips for that. So number one is I try to schedule as much as possible. So schedule your Facebook group posts, schedule your Instagram posts, schedule your Instagram stories, all of that stuff. So number one, try to schedule as much as you can. Number two, set scroll times in your calendar. So if once per day, you're going to check Instagram, I mean, most of us do, right? So what you can do is set 15 minutes 3 times a day in your calendar, maybe after you've checked all your emails, after lunch, and, I don't know, at 4 p.m. or something like that. You have 15 minutes in there, and it's scroll, other people's stuff, respond to your DMs, post that Instagram post that was scheduled and is now on your, in your notifications. those are two really big things. Set the scroll time and, you know, add that right into your calendar. Was there anything else? I thought I had 3 tips for that, but I think it's just 2. Okay, so do you guys all have it written down next to your tasks, how long you think each one's gonna take you? And you wanna say like per day. So if it's like per day or per week. So you wanna say, okay, if you have written down there, write a blog post, make sure you write like 3 hours per week to write 1 blog post. And maybe even break down that blog post into like, write first draft of blog post, publish the blog post on my website, get the images for the blog post, and then write down how long you think each one of those things is gonna take you. Whereas something like your emails, you might say 30 minutes 2 times a day, every single day of the week. Write all those things down. Get really detailed with how long you think those things are going to take you. Chiropractor once per month, an hour and a half. Get that in there. Make sure you have your time next to everything. So everyone here, do you guys have your time next to each task in your notebook? Let me know. All right, so when you go back to your little guy here, your little chart, you'll see next to time, got it, says Meg, okay, cool. You'll see it says DEAD, and this is my favorite part. I'll probably say that at every part. This is super important, and again, I always come back to this and ask myself again, are these things realistic? So once you start brain dumping and you see how many tasks you have to do every single week, and you start to get really realistic about how long each one of those things is going to take you, you start to notice, like, if you add all those things up, like maybe that's going to take you 60 hours that week. Maybe, you know, you have something there that's like 50 hours of work that needs to happen, and you start to realize this is like not realistic. This is not how I, you know, envisioned myself. But this was a big thing for me when I first started my business. Things were working, things were, you know, I was getting clients, things were happening, but I was working 50 hours a week, and I was like, hang on. I became an entrepreneur so I could have more freedom, so I could travel, so I could, you know, take off the middle of the day and go pick up my friend from, you know, the train station, or like whatever I want to do. But meanwhile, I'm sitting behind my desk, I'm like chained to it for 50 hours a week. That something's off here, right? So what I want you to do is, next to each one of those things, I want you to ask yourself, can I delegate this task? And a lot of people think of delegation as something that you have to like wait for, like, okay, once I make, you know, 6 figures, then I'll delegate. But I want you to really get creative here. I want you to see, like, is there something that, is there anything here that I can delegate? Can I ask my mom for help with, you know, organizing my Google Drive? Like, you know, can I ask my husband to, you know, prep dinner, like whatever it is, something that's in your calendar. Is there something here you can delegate? Do I have a niece who could maybe be an intern for the summer for her co-op to help me? Like, I don't know, get creative and see where you can find some really, you know, interesting ways to start to delegate what you do, because this is one of the best things that you can do to obviously get time back, right? We all know this, and I want you guys to get really, you know, really creative here. Vanessa asks, I know you have people who work for you. Where do you recommend hiring people from? And Meg wants to know too. You guys are such creeps. You want to know behind the scenes, huh? Yeah, so there's a lot of great ways to find people. One thing I really recommend is to just straight up ask in Facebook groups. But most people that I've hired have been from a recommendation from either a friend, colleague, someone that I know, they, you know, have worked with a Pinterest manager before or something like that. So I definitely always ask for a recommendation from someone. That's my favorite way to find someone, because then you kind of, you know, they have like a good track record. So I put out the call and I ask in my Facebook group, hey, I'm looking for a great copywriter, or hey, I'm looking for somebody who's awesome with Facebook ads. Has anyone worked with someone that they can recommend? Put out a call on Facebook, on your own Instagram. But there's a lot of other cool ways that you can search for people. So you can use something like Fiverr or Upwork if you have like a small job and you don't want to, you know, you don't want to hire someone like on staff. You just want someone to help you design a workbook or something like that. You can go to a website called fiverr.com or upwork.com. And I also recently found out about a website called Codable, CODE-able.com, where you can actually post projects for like website design and more like techie things. And what's cool is that you put up the money up front, but they don't get paid until after the project's done. So it kind of stops. I don't know if you guys have worked with any developers before, but there's a lot of like shady developers in my experience. I hate to say that, but so that way, you know, both people are kind of protected. You don't have to, you don't pay if they don't finish the job, and you know, you can't ghost the developer, obviously. So yeah, that's been my experience, and where I found everyone that I work with pretty much. Let me see. Yes, everyone. Also at networking events is a great time to like get a referral. So currently I'm working with an event planner, and I met her at a networking event. So any TLC event probably would be a great place to find someone. And if you know, you ask someone, then they might know someone. It's the best way to do it in my experience. All right, so once you've put next to things, can I delegate this? And maybe you have a small budget, maybe you have no budget, maybe you're asking your mom to help with accounting, or whatever it is. And you've looked for creative ways to delegate, but you're like, all right, no, I kind of have to do some of these things. Next thing you're going to ask yourself is, can I eliminate this? Is this something that genuinely is a stupid thing for me to be doing every single week? Every week I'm, you know, I'm going live on Instagram and nobody watches, or, you know, that's probably not a great example because I do think I really love live videos. So I think you should all still go live on Instagram, but maybe there's some things that you notice you're doing over and over again. Like every single time I, you know, I don't know, but give me some examples and let me see what you guys have. But there's usually a lot of things that I can eliminate. Let me see, let me try and think of a good example here. Responding to people in my DMs or responding to people on Facebook Messenger. Eliminate that. Doesn't happen. An automatic message goes out that says, hey, I respond to, you know, I respond to emails. Go ahead and email support@alyssacoleman.ca. Someone on my team will hook you up. That would be a job that I just eliminate because I don't like it. I hate doing it. It's a time suck. It's an emotional suck. And it's not productive. So you want to go through and see if there's anything that you can eliminate. And then the next one, which is one of my favorites, which is automate. So if you're going back and forth with people after they, you know, hire you and you're sending them an email of where to book a call with you or something like that, and you've got this whole long process that takes you about 2 hours a week, I want you to ask yourself, can I automate this? And I bet there's a lot of things that you guys are doing every single week that you could automate, and you can get so creative with this. It's wild. It's really, really insane. So pretty much all social media posting you can automate, all Pinterest posting you can automate, you know, getting new clients in the door you can automate. So growing your audience every single day you can automate, onboarding of your clients, offboarding of your clients, answering frequently asked questions, nourishing your new leads in maybe an email sequence. All of these things can be automated. And this is like what I live for. Automation like is the next best thing. I'm planning to have a clone as soon as they're available. I'm on the wait list. Until then, automation is kind of my go-to. So go through the list and ask yourself, can I delegate, eliminate, or automate any of these things? And then last, and oops, what's happening? The last thing is obviously to ask yourself if you have to do it. You know, there's some things that we just straight up have to do, and that's fine. But obviously this is my last resort because you want to leverage as much freedom as you can. Freedom is your currency. So the more, you know, you can delegate, eliminate, and automate, better. I'm thinking my sister-in-law could help organize my financials and obviously automate all the things, #LazyGirls. Yes, see, this is really, this is amazing, an amazing example, Meg, of just kind of like asking yourself, like, maybe there is someone who can help me. And it's crazy. You know, I see this all the time with people, and I don't know if this is manifesting or what it is, but I'll work with clients and maybe they won't have cool photos for their website or something. So they'll say, you know what, I want to get new photos done. And then within a week, they'll say, you know what, my cousin is a photographer and she said that she's actually going to be in Toronto next week and she's down to do my photos next week for half the price that I was going to pay the local photographer. Like stuff like this always happens. As soon as you like say, this is what I want, and you kind of start looking, cool things like that start, you know, showing up. And so ask yourself, is there any way that I can get help? Because, you know, as new entrepreneurs, you either have time or money. And a lot of us, if time is free, but a lot of us don't have much time, and money costs money. But it's something that maybe you have if you have a full-time job and not a lot of time. So ask yourself, how can I get some of that back? Totally right about photos. Love that. Yeah, Meg, I think that happened to you, didn't it? All right, so let me know if you guys have those things in there in your thing. So you should have all of your tasks. Like I said, you'll continue to add to these like throughout the week. How long you think it's going to take you, being really generous, really over exaggerating how long you think things are going to take you. Then you're going to ask yourself, hey, any of these things I can just straight up eliminate? What can I delegate? What can I automate? Super important. And now we're getting into the section. So, do I have an example for this? Yes, okay. Let's get into the section right now. Oh, and I wanted to give you a case study of one of my clients who had way too many things going on in her business, and we went in and we tried to automate as many things as possible. It was our mission. We were like, let's try to automate 99% of what you do. She was one of the nappers, actually. She takes a nap every day. And I love that about her. And so we thought, how can we automate that? So we're going to get even more stuff happening even while you're taking a nap in the middle of the day. And she had this goal to make 1K a day by May. And we love that goal. We like created a little hashtag. We were like, this is our plan, but we had no way of reaching it when we first started working together. So we found a lot of really creative ways to automate all of the things leading towards her making that 1K a day. And I'm happy to report she emailed me in April saying it's become normal for me to wake up to over 1K in PayPal. So automation really, really is something that you should be putting a lot of your attention on as soon as you can. And now we're going to get into that section column. But I saw a question here. I have the hardest time like getting to this little question bar. Sorry. How long did it take you to automate everything? So long. I'm still automating. So my rule of thumb is to try to automate one thing per quarter. So every single quarter I ask myself, how can I automate something that's going to make my big quarter goal even easier, or like support that big quarter goal? So I'm consistently automating. Big thing, oh, maybe you meant how long did it take me to automate as much as possible with Robin? Because in that case, it took 3 months for us to get her sales funnel set up to lead people to that 1K a day. Let me know if that answers your question, Vanessa. But I think you can always continue automating. Like I said, I'm on the wait list for the clone. Until then, I'm just like consistently asking myself, can I automate this? Can I make this simpler? Can I automate this? And that's why I go back to my calendar every month, because I start to notice things where I'm like, you know what? This is a crutch. What I'm doing here is a crutch. Because here's the truth, guys. And maybe you can relate to this, but a lot of times I will start to find myself almost hiding behind my business, hiding behind being really busy, behind doing and hustling and like getting into the nitty gritty, and suddenly I'm on the back end of my website trying to edit it, which is such a waste of my time and not something that I should be spending. That's not a job for me. That's something I should be outsourcing or delegating, right? But what I find is when I'm doing that, I'm hiding from something, maybe a big goal, or from showing up, or something that's really kind of scary. And so you can use this a lot of times as a way to almost self-sabotage. So check in with yourself and ask yourself, am I doing for the sake of doing? And am I doing because I'm scared? It's another form of procrastination. And, it might be showing up as perfectionism for you, or busyness, or it could be any of those things. So check in with yourself. Okay, let's get into step number 3. This is really fun, and I call this the buddy system. So now you have all of your tasks. You have how long you think it's going to take you. You've tried to delegate. Now you just have the stuff that you need to do. What I want you to do is to start grouping things together. So in that last column, you can start to write some sections that you want to group these things into. So let's say you write blog posts, you write social media posts, you send emails to your list. I might put all of those in like a content creation section or grouping in my business. And here are some of my favorite sections, but everybody's business is different, so you might have some different ones. So maybe like client acquisition is a section for you, and that looks like a lot of different things. So start to notice if there's any themes of everything that's on your list, and see if you can kind of start to group them together. So my favorite sections are number 1, my most important / CEO tasks. These are like things where I need to have like my brain power needs to be on. So I usually do these things first thing in the morning when I'm feeling super productive. I've taken myself a bit, so I'm like on fire, CEO level tasks. Then I have my non-negotiables, which we will get into a little bit more in a second. But these could be anything that you're like, this needs to happen for me every single day. This is like, no questions, I need to get this thing done. Then I have a grouping of meetings. So anytime I'm on the phone with clients, potential clients, team meetings, if I'm working with a freelancer, or if I have a podcast, anything like that, I call that meetings. Pretty self-explanatory, the word meeting. And then the last one is like admin tasks. So little things that just need to happen. I need to do my accounting. I need to, check in with my numbers. I need to check in with my work week and see if it's going well. I need to answer those emails that I've been putting off, and little things like that. I put that in admin, and usually those things don't take as much brain power. Accounting is a little bit different. It takes a lot of brain power, for me at least. But, things like that, like checking in on my emails and like little things that just end up back in your court. I usually add those to later on in the day or later on in the week, because those are things that don't catapult your business forward, unlike CEO level tasks. And so this technique here is called time blocking. So what we're going to end up doing is we're going to take all of those tasks that are similar. So all of my meetings happen on the same day. All of my content writing happens on the same day. All of my admin stuff happens in the same, couple hours. And the reason that we do that and group like things together is mostly just because our brain really likes working that way. So a lot of us like to think of our tasks from beginning to end, and we like to do one task from start to finish. So let's say I want to post something on Instagram. I start with searching for the right image, then I edit the image, then I upload it to my Instagram scheduler, then I write the copy, then I add the emojis, then I schedule it beginning to end. But actually what you should be doing is you should be writing all of your posts at once, sourcing all of your images at once, and scheduling them all at once. So see how that's more like an assembly line than doing something from beginning to end, almost like a little marathon. You want to focus on trying to assembly line as much of your business as possible. I hate the word assembly line. I'm going to try to find a different example. So if you guys have any good analogies for me, let me know, because I hate assembly line. It makes me feel gross, and I don't want to be like an assembly line in my business, but it really, really improves focus, and it really lessens your stress when you put like tasks together. So if I batch all my content writing for Instagram, I can get it done in like 1 or 2 hours. And I'll tell you guys right now, my Instagram posts are scheduled until February, because I just sat down and I just did it. And it gets me out of this stress state of like, oh, okay, I'm done one, now I got to do another one. All right, let's get the image, let's find it, let's do all this. Doing it together really starts to get you into flow. And what it does is it allows you to focus on one thing, and have your brain working in that mojo. So if I'm writing a blog post and then I have a meeting right in the middle, I really need to shift gears. I need to go out of this creative space of writing a blog and, thinking about, pontificating on something. And then I need to go and get my head into someone else's business and have a client call and dive into their stuff. It's not good for your brain, right? You really can't get into this flow state. So the more you focus on one thing at a time, you're like, listen, all I'm doing right now is I'm focusing on writing this blog post. I'm not thinking about, is anyone messaging me on Facebook? Do I need to get on a client call? Are my clients okay? Do I need to check in with them? Do I need to check my emails? Has anyone emailed me? No, because I know that I have an hour here to write my blog post. And then at 2 p.m., I check my emails. And so anyone who emails me between now and then, totally fine. I'm going to get back to them at 2 p.m. So it allows you to really, really focus on that one thing, and it allows you to work way, way faster on that one thing. And you're never going to have that feeling of like, what am I supposed to be doing right now? Like, I don't know. You know exactly what you should be doing because you're blocking it all together. Maybe an obvious question, but is there a free app to schedule posts? Yeah, Amanda, there's lots. I personally use Later. Yeah, Vanessa, I use Later. But I know that there's other great ones. So Planoly is one, or it might just be called Plan now. Buffer, Hootsuite are a couple. I personally use Later, and that's the one I recommend. Assembly line becomes production line. Get it? Production productivity. Meg, we're getting somewhere there, but that's a little wordy. Yeah, she uses Planoly. Okay, cool. Yeah, one of my clients, I think Planoly is a lot more visually appealing than Later. So yeah, test it out, see what you like. All right, time blocking. So now I want you should have some of those tasks grouped together. You've given them sections or themes, and then we're going to start to add them to your calendar. Another really cool thing that you can do is actually theme your entire day. This is something I personally do in my business, and a lot of my clients really like this as well. But of course, it depends on your business and like what you do. But for example, if you want, you could do something like Monday is my creative day. So this is where I write blog posts, I schedule my email to my list, I write all my social media posts, I write, this is just where I'm creative. I brainstorm ideas. This is my content creation day. Tuesdays are for scheduling, are for admin tasks, are for having team meetings and stuff like that. For me personally, I take all my client calls, potential client calls, anything like that. Anything that involves me putting on a bra happens on Wednesday or Thursday. This Tuesday one is a very rare exception to the rule. That happens Wednesday and Thursday, and then Friday I use that for creative brainstorming. But you can do whatever you want. Maybe on Mondays you have team meetings. Tuesdays are for filming. You do YouTube videos, so you're going to film and batch some of your filming, and then Wednesdays are for scheduling and for working on admin things. Thursdays are for calls. Fridays are for maybe meetings. So this is what I really recommend. If you're one of those people who has to take meetings outside of the house, which a lot of us have to do, but you're not doing them like on Zoom or something like this, you're actually jumping into, you got to drive into the city or whatever. I really recommend putting all of those on one day. So if someone says, hey, are you free for coffee this week? You're like, yeah, on Friday. And that's the only day that I take, I take meetings like that. I really recommend that if you have to leave the house or if you have to leave your, your office or whatever, schedule all those things on one day. Vanessa says, you do this and you love it. I also do no calls the last week of every month. Ooh, Vanessa, I love that idea. That's a really good idea. You've got me thinking now. Ooh, no calls last week. Yeah, Meg, you like that too. That's very interesting. Cool. So yeah, there's a couple ways that you can theme things. So you can theme your actual days, and then also make sure that you're batching certain things together and time blocking certain things together throughout the day. So if Monday is a content creation day, make sure that you're doing all videos at one, in one time block, and you're doing all written stuff in one time block, and you're doing all images for those videos in a different, time block. Does that make sense? Let me know for those of you who are here if that's making sense to you, because I know time blocking can be kind of a new way to sort of wrap your head around, planning out your week. A lot of us do the same things every single day, and you go through this thing like start the day here, then I do this, then I do this, then I do this, then I wrap up the day like this. And so sometimes it can be interesting to try out this new model. Maybe because I have short amount of time and not big batch. Okay, wait. I feel like I waste a lot of time. Maybe because I have short amounts of time and not big batches of it. Meg, what's your schedule like for school? I'll give you a little case study. Gemma. Okay, Gemma was one of those people who she was just like you, Meg, actually, where she felt like she was never making any progress. She spent hours and hours on tiny details. She was a perfectionist, and she kept getting behind on things. I'm learning to let go of my perfectionist side in order to do what actually needs to be done. So she made a really conscious effort to say, I need to start and finish in this time. And she started timing herself and seeing how long things would take her in her time blocks. I'm actually making progress, seeing results, and feeling amazingly productive instead of just being busy, unaccomplished, and frustrated. So this is that momentum theory that I was talking about. And once she implemented her calendar, and specifically for her, time blocking was a major asset, she started to really feel that momentum. And then things, it's like any new habit, right? Like you go to the gym, the first couple weeks it sucks and you're like, I hate this. But then after a while you're like, this is just part of my routine now and it feels good, and maybe you crave it. And it's the same thing with your calendar. Do you still allow for, say, 2 hour for incidental tasks that come up outside of your themes? I work 3 jobs and stuff comes up even when I time block. Yes. So thank you for asking that, Amanda. What I recommend is actually adding in what I call white space. So just like when you're designing something, you want lots of, white space. I add that into my calendar where, like, in between a couple of time blocks, I'll leave, for me, I personally leave half an hour between anything, just in case something comes up. But maybe for you, if you're working 3 jobs, like maybe leave an hour. Really leave so much space. And then another really important thing to know is that once you have your calendar in Google, and this is something I love, and maybe I'm going to show examples here in a second. Let's see. Let me show you an example. These ones here, you can see a little bit of white space here. Some of them have more white space than others. But what you can actually do is you can start to move things around. So you can actually, let's say you had right here content creation. You can, if something comes up here, you can go ahead and move that over to maybe Saturday, or go ahead and move that over to this white space over here, and it won't screw up next week. So you'll have that like same consistency next week, but you can rearrange your week as things come up within that week. So usually on Monday or sometimes Sunday, I'll look at my week ahead and say like, okay, these were the things that I originally had planned to do. These are like the things that I want to do every single week. But I know that I'm going to go to an acupuncture appointment at 3 p.m. on Tuesday. So I'm going to go ahead and move, write that blog post over to Thursday morning. So I still make sure that everything that I have planned to get done every week gets done. But I have the freedom to move my schedule around, because like I said, I really hated feeling like I was being controlled by my calendar. Instead, I make sure that I'm in control of my calendar, but it's a very clear picture for me of everything that I need to do and how long it's going to take me. And so if I, this doesn't happen as much anymore, but if I, completely bust off Monday because I just like don't want to do anything. Bust off, what does that even mean? But like I completely clear Monday because I want to take a day off after traveling or something. Whatever I would normally have on Monday, I make sure to move it over to like Friday. And I don't usually work Fridays, so now sometimes I have to work Fridays, and that's okay, right? Like, and maybe for you it's like Sundays. And so if someone says, hey, you want to get mimosas on Sunday, I'm like, no, you know what, this week I'm not going to, because I'm in control of my schedule. And I stopped feeling resentful towards it because I realized I'm in control. I decided to take Monday off, or I was really unproductive on Monday and I didn't get any of these things done, and now I had to move it all over to Sunday. And then you start to get into a rhythm with it. Let me know if that helps you, Amanda. And so Megan says between 3 and 7 hours a day, you're at work. Meg, I think this moving things around is going to be massive for you. And you have tremendous amounts of discipline. Yes, that's something that was a muscle that I had to build though. I call it my entrepreneurial muscle. And what I talk about a lot, and I think I've talked about it before at a TLC event, is that the person who schedules my calendar. So when I'm doing this time blocking, when I'm mapping these calendars out here, that's the CEO version of me. That's the Beyonce make shit happen, Beyonce version of me. And she shows up, and you know that person. She's the girl who's writing stuff in your notebooks and is like, I'm going to change the effing world. And you're like in this crazy, you've gone there. You're that person. You're like unstoppable. But a lot of times I show up to my desk and I'm like just regular old entrepreneur me, the one who is PMSing, the one who had a shitty sleep last night, the one who doesn't want to do any of these jobs that are on her list, the one, the regular version of me sometimes shows up at my desk. And if I didn't have my calendar, I just wouldn't do anything. I would go back to bed. But all I do is entrepreneur, regular version of me shows up, and Beyonce version of me has set up the calendar, and I just trust that she's the boss. Whatever she says goes. So therefore, I'm not being controlled by anyone. I hate being told what to do, but this is actually like the higher level, the like, you know, my higher self is telling me, Alyssa, this is what you want. These are your big goals. And in order for you to hit them, you show up and you do these things. And I just know if I show up and do them, then I'm going to get to my big goal. And that's why I swear by my calendar, because I reverse engineer every single thing. Yeah, I totally get feeling resentful when it goes off. And so that's why it's almost becomes like Tetris, where I'm like, listen, I need to figure this out. And sometimes I get things done quicker. Sometimes I get things done, you know, slower. And it's like a game, right? I reorganize, and sometimes I get all Friday off, which is amazing. Most weeks I get 4 days a week if I do things right. And you start to like become obsessed with like, can I do this in less time? Can I do it even in less time? And I change my calendar accordingly. Yeah, and automation is a big part of that, Meg. And momentum. Like discipline, for me, is really about momentum, because I know if I don't do it, then I'm going to feel that lack of momentum. And that's like, the momentum is like the entrepreneurial crack for me. Like, I swear to God, right? It's that thing that just we live off of. So now that you have all those things, I kind of skipped ahead a little bit, but step number 4 is to schedule it. So you have how long things are going to take you, what's going together, and I want you to actually go into your calendar and start putting these things in here. So morning routine, you can see here. You know, I have my non-negotiables here. Somebody's working on their content. I'm not sure whose calendar this is, but these are all different examples of different client calendars. But you'll notice that a lot of them are similar, but they're all a little bit different as well, right? Like this is really based on what you do in your business, what's going on in your life, and all of that. But there are a lot of similar things. I always make sure everybody has a morning routine scheduled in there. I always make sure that we leave room to answer those emails that end up coming up, and I know that's going to happen usually 1 or 2 times a day. And then I also make sure to schedule life. You can see most people here, the purple is life. This is something I really want you guys to schedule as well, because I wasn't scheduling this in. And when you work from home, especially, I find it's hard to have the discipline to say, you know what, I'm done. I'm not looking at my phone for work things anymore. I'm getting off my laptop. I'm leaving my desk. Like, it's time to clock out. And so if I was like unproductive during the day, that work would kind of seep into 6 p.m. and 7 p.m. And then you're not doing good work at that point anymore, right? Let me know if any of you who are here can relate to that, because it's not good work at that point, but you're like, I didn't do it. I got to stay here. And you're just like, what am I doing? So schedule that life in there, and boom, that shows up and you get out. This is super important. And you'll start to notice, like, okay, I didn't get these things done today, but it's 6 p.m. and that's when I am leaving my desk. So how can I be more productive tomorrow? And this becomes, you know, part of the routine. I schedule more self-care than anything else. We're opposites. That's hilarious, Meg. But that's really good. And maybe you need to like start batching your self-care, like only after this time. I work full-time remotely and couldn't agree more. There's little distinction between work and home. Yeah, I totally agree. And also, Amanda, I noticed there's not the like commute, where I think is where a lot of people start to like debrief from the day and go from work mode to life mode. And so I try to do little things like cooking dinner, where I'm like, okay, this is like my commute, where I'm going to just start turning off that part of my brain and coming back to like a normal life, because the more I do that, the more productive I am like throughout the week, I find as well. Awesome. You have to energy shift. Yeah. I totally agree. And so the goal here is for you to have your most productive day, and really to start to have your perfect day. And so you want to start asking yourself questions like, when am I most productive? Is it morning? Is it after my nap? Is it late at night? Like, what is it for you? And it's different for everyone. Also, you will start to notice you'll have more perfect days if you start to theme your days. I find that this is really, really, it's just a nice thing for people's brains. Like, it really does help with compliance or, you know, like really following through on the things that you say you're going to, is that those themes. scheduling in your non-negotiables, which we'll get into in one sec, and then adding in buffer time. So make sure you have that buffer time, and that will help contribute to creating your perfect day. So I want you guys to add those things to your calendar. Maybe you won't have enough time to do it right now, but after this masterclass, go through that list and start saying, okay, every Monday I said that I'm going to have a team meeting for 1 hour. I'm going to write a blog post that takes 2 hours. I'm going to schedule that on social media. On Tuesdays, that takes me 3 hours. Start putting those in accordance with how long you said each one of those things is going to take you. And start to try it out. Like I said, first couple weeks are going to be weird. They might not be perfect for you. They might not be, you might fall off the wagon and like really not follow through on the plan, and that's fine. Like I said, it's a habit. So just try again the next week, see how things are going, leave little notes for yourself in there. This took me 3 hours, not 1. I pushed this off until Sunday and then I still didn't do it, and now it's, piling up the next week. Leave yourself notes and start to adjust your calendar based on those things, because a lot of times we have this like idea of what we think our perfect work week's going to look like, but the reality is a lot different, and I want you to have a calendar that's based on, really how long you have and what your schedule's like. Super important. Maria was one of those people who said, I genuinely didn't think I had enough time in my week for all the projects that she wanted to do. She had a lot of things going on. She was writing a cookbook. She was taking clients. She was doing so many things. But once she got really, really clear on everything that she actually wanted to accomplish, and folks started focusing on her money-making tasks, and she created her calendar, she now says, I always have more than enough time for business and life. And this is without fail what my clients always end up saying to me. They always say, I have more than enough time every single week. They always come to me saying, I don't know how I'm going to fit all of this in. I don't have enough time. And this is most people's complaint, right? There's not enough time to do all the things that I want to do. Always, 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 they're telling me I have more than enough time, or I'm finishing early, or I'm getting a 4-day work week. So these are the things that are going to help you with that momentum. These are the things that bring you money and get the most out of the time that you're spending in your business. So what are the money makers? Number 1, entrepreneurial mindset. I want you to get very, very, very clear on the outcome that you want. Very clear. Okay. And we do this not to be woo-woo. We do this not to feel centered and in alignment, although all those things are super important. We do this because entrepreneurship is a mental game. And when you work for yourself, a lot of times you are the biggest bottleneck in your own business. And we're not going to have that. Beyonce version of you needs to show up every single day. So a couple things that you can do for your mindset every single day. You could get really clear on the outcome that you want. You can visualize it. You can journal it out. You can meditate on that outcome. You can like I said, you can start to visualize that thing without getting caught up in thinking, how is that going to happen? What strategy am I going to use? Any of those things that are actually going to get you there. Just start with the outcome and have it in your mind. What's the outcome that I want from today, or from this quarter, or from this month, like whatever you're really focusing on, and then journal on it, meditate on it, visualize it, whatever you want. Tons of different things you can do for entrepreneurial mindset. You can read a wealth consciousness book. You could, work on writing out your morning lines or your affirmations. Tons of things that you can do. Choose one thing to get your head in the game and do it every single day. This is a moneymaker, something I skipped for way too long. Don't make the same mistake I did, basically. Number 2 is growth. We want to focus on growth. This is a major money maker. Choose one way to daily actively grow your online community by at least 1 new lead. It doesn't have to be an online community if you're an offline business, but I want you to say, how am I growing my community, the people who know me, my network, by at least 1 person actively today? So not with a Facebook ad, not hoping someone's going to refer me, none of those things. What am I going to do today to make sure that 1 new lead comes into my community? Grow your email list. You can get new followers. You can leverage Pinterest. You could do a guest speak. You could do a webinar like this. Some of you might be new leads, or you can just at least come into my community. This is a example of growth. You could do live events. You could go, you could collaborate with someone and do a guest blog on somebody else's post. Tons of different ways to actually grow your community. I want you to choose one and make that happen. Nourishment is number 3. This is so important, and this is the one that I see skipped like so often, and I like am not about that life. So I want you to think actively today. One money making thing that I'm going to do is, now that I'm growing my list, I've got some new leads coming in because I just did that. What is one way that I can actively nurture or nourish the people who are already in my community, as well as those new people that I just brought in? So what's something I can do today to show up that's going to bring value to them in some way, shape, or form? Because I see a lot of people growing their community and then just making them an offer, and like it doesn't work, unfortunately. Not only is it kind of rude, just if I right now said to all of you guys who are here, like, hey, do you want to, work with me and right now, it might be a little bit weird. And even we have been doing some nourishment by me offering some value during this masterclass, but you want to have a few different ways that you're doing that, and at least once per day actively show up and nourish that community and think, how can I bring them value today? Super important. And then your leads are more likely to convert as well. Plus it's fulfilling and all those other reasons. So some great ways that you can do that are blogging, using social media, showing people just your everyday life on Instagram is actually a form of nourishment at this point, which is crazy to me. But it's the fact. Think about all those people who you like watch feed their kids or like go for walks with their dogs on Instagram. We all do it. A webinar could be a form of nourishment, a live video, a podcast, tons of different ways that you can do it depending on your niche and your actual business. This is super important to build that know, like, and trust factor that you guys have probably heard about. Everybody talks about it. We have it with every single brand that you've bought from. So if you've bought anything online, then you definitely trust them. You've seen, you've heard about them in some way, shape, or form. And you like the brand or you like the product, something like that. And also this really helps people see you as the expert. So the more you show up and provide value, people actually get to see you demonstrating what you're good at. And this is essential for people to actually make a purchase from you, which is moneymaker number 4, make an offer. Very important. And unfortunately, people don't do it every single day. And I did this for so long. I was like just hoping that someone was going to send me an email and be like, hi, like, do you offer services and can I have them? Here's my money, please take it. That doesn't happen, right? If this is the real world, that's not happening. So I want you every single day to make an offer in some way, shape, or form. Let people know that you're a business, you have this product, you have this service, you have this offer, you do these live events, whatever it is. Let them know that you're a business that takes payment in some way, shape, or form. Every single day. Do not skip this every single day. This is where I see a lot of people get resistance. And I want to encourage you to, to get out of your comfort zone and make an offer once per day. And it's going to do a lot of really cool things. Number 1, it's proven that people need to see or hear about your product 7 to 14 times before they ever even consider purchasing that product. Wild, but it's the truth. And I've actually been hearing more and more lately that it's more like 14 to 21 times. So you need to be getting out in front of your people and letting them know, name dropping the name of your course, or telling people about, some of the success that your clients have had and things like that. You need people to hear about it before they ever even contemplate working with you. 7 to 14 times. So you want to be doing that so that they can see it over and over. It also shows the value. Like I said, this is really important. So if someone's on the fence, you're going to show them, here's the value of what's in the program. Here's what people get out of it. Here's the transformation that people are having. Super basic, but it's what we need to hear before we ever consider taking people up on an offer. Offer free consults. This is a great way if you don't want to like share your main offer right away, or it's a little bit of a higher price and you don't want to just say like, hey, buy my thing, and you don't want to work with just anyone, and someone from Instagram buys your $5,000 course, or your hires you as a interior designer or something like that. So you say, hey, I do free consults. Here's what we do on the calls, and get people to book a call with you. That's a form of an offer. You could also do something that I really love, which is called the humble brag. And this is where you say, you get maybe on social media in some way, shape, or form, and you're like, hey, I was just talking to one of my clients. Don't make this up. Like should be, something that's actually going on in your world. But let's say you just had a meeting with your client and you guys had a really great conversation. You say, hey, just had a really great call with my client, Sarah. And I'm so excited because she just, had her first 10K month. And I wanted to tell you 2 things that she did in order to have that 10K month. And you teach people 2 things that Sarah just did, and like give them a little insight into some of the stuff that your clients are doing, and let them provide them with some value, and then say, so I want you to try those 2 things. And also, if you want to know more about working with me and like seeing if we can implement some of those things into your business, go ahead and book a call with me here. So this does a couple of cool things. It talks about your offer. It lets people know that you have clients, that you're busy. People like working with people who are busy and aren't just sitting around like, twiddling their thumbs. And it lets people know that your clients get results. That's very important. Most people want to work with people whose clients get results. And it also gives them free value. So even if they aren't taking action on working with you right yet, they can maybe take action on those 2 things that you just taught them. And then next time that you're talking about your offer, they're more likely to say yes. So this humble brag is a really valuable thing, and it allows you to have more conversational ways of talking about your offer. Because what you're going to notice if you're making an offer every single day is you're going to need to get really, really savvy with how you're talking about things. This is going to be really key, because otherwise every single day you're going to be like, hi, I have this program, buy it, here, swipe up, or links in my bio. You definitely can't, you can't let people, you can't be saying the same thing and just let people hear it over and over again. It's going to be boring. People are going to unsubscribe. People are going to not watch. So you want to find new creative ways to talk about your offer, and a humble brag is a great way to do it. Make sure you're giving a clear call to action as well. So if I'm saying those 2 things that my client learned, and I could say, also, if you want those results, book a call with me here. Go to alyssacoleman.ca/call or swipe up. Tell them what you want them to do so they know what the next step is on their client journey. It's wild. I've even noticed on my Instagram stories, I could talk about an offer like maybe in 5 stories. And if on the 6th one, I actually put one of those swipe up emojis, or I type swipe up, that one will have like 5 times as many swipe ups as all the other ones. It's so simple. I've been talking about the offer. I've been saying, if you want to come, join or whatever. But as soon as I say swipe up and I give a clear call to action, here's how you can take action, I get so much more engagement. Okay, Megan says, you did this week with Lazy Girls. Oh, I'm just here on a Wednesday working on my bonuses. Well, what? you did, Meg says, you did this well with Lazy Girls Guide to Business. Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay. I did this. So Meg's saying I have a program called Lazy Girls Guide to Business, which she is actually a member of the program. And I would sometimes show on a Wednesday when I'm like, sometimes on Wednesdays or every week on Wednesdays, I show what I'm working on. So I have a thing called Work With Me Wednesdays. And a couple of weeks I said, I'm working on the bonuses for this program. And I showed behind the scenes of what I was working on. And I guess that piqued Meg's interest. And that's one of the things that she, saw in one of her 7 to 14 times. And then she actually joined the program. Case study of Allison, she really focused on these money makers, and she grew her email list by 140%. And she launched her 3-month nutrition program. Oh God, guys, it's late. And she also has a quarterly launch plan for new launches. And so that's something that I want to mention is you want to be having these daily non-negotiables, these big 4 things that I just talked about: mindset, growth, nourishment, and making an offer. So important. But also I want you to have a bigger picture idea of the things that you want to be doing, this quarter or this year, and start to add those things to your calendar too. So not only do you have those day-to-day weekly tasks that keep your business running, but you have time built into your calendar where you say, this week I'm working 2 hours on automating Pinterest, or this week I'm getting my new funnel set up all day on Friday. And so that way it's the best of both worlds. And that's exactly what Allison did with her nutrition program as well. And then the last thing that we sort of touched on a little bit is all about automation. And like I said, this is like the lifeblood of my business. I love automating. It helps. It's like free employees. So nice. So what I want you to do is once per quarter, find a new way to automate each one of these things. So growth, and obviously you can't automate mindset. So growth, nourishment, and making an offer. Ask yourself, what's one way I can automate my growth? And so what this ends up doing is you start to have this compounding effect. It's like a stack effect. So every day I'm actively growing my community by 1 member, but also Facebook is growing my community by a few members every single day because I have an ad running. Pinterest is growing my community by a few members a day because I have my Pinterest automated. Instagram is growing because I have my Instagram posts automated. All of these things are working for me all the time, and it starts to really create this like compound effect that I really love. And so ask yourself, how can I automate one of these things each and every quarter? So some great ways to automate are to grow with ads or with Pinterest. Like I mentioned, those are two of my favorites. To nourish your new leads with something like a welcome sequence or automated social media. To make offers in scheduled emails. So in that welcome sequence, maybe on like the 7th email or something like that, you talk to people about your offer. You share a video of you talking about your offer or something like that. But all of that's scheduled and automated. So I know that offers are being made on my behalf every single day. Very exciting. It's like my clone, right? And making offers on socials that are scheduled as well. But like I mentioned, every single day I still show up daily to complete growth, nourishment, and making an offer, and of course my mindset. So now we're really stacking. So not only are these things happening for you automated all the time, but you're showing up actively and you're asking for what you want. And this is what really makes it really makes the fire here. So this is the basis of the perfect work week. Oh, if you want more details on those big 4 things, the mindset, growth, nourishment, and making an offer, if you want to get more details, I created a little free guide for you that you can grab there, alyssacoleman.ca/big. And like I said, those are my daily non-negotiables. I talk all the time about if I was like stuck on some weird deserted island, entrepreneurial desert island, and I could only take 2 things with me, it would be my daily non-negotiables would be one of them for sure. Like I said, they're non-negotiable. These are the things that really help me in my business. I swear by them. They are like my babies. So if you want to grab that, you can go ahead and do that there. Otherwise, you should have a perfect work week at this point. And I think, it's getting a little bit late. So maybe if you're catching the replay, pause it here and spend like a good hour, half an hour, however long it takes you to map out your calendar in Google. It should look like this. I want it to look beautiful in your Google Calendar. Oh, what you'll notice is I put certain colors for certain things. So anything in red is usually like if I'm on a call. This is, like I said, like get on a bra, put some dry shampoo in, whatever needs to happen. That means you need to show up and be on video. Anything purple is usually life. So start like theming it like that. That's, not necessary, but I think it works really well. Do you guys have any questions about your calendar or about scheduling for your specific business before we wrap things up for the night? Let me know. Meg, what are you thinking, since you do have to be at school between 5 and 7 hours a day? What are you thinking to help you like make the most out of those shorter amount of times that you have each and every day to automate as much as possible? But you're still going to have things that you need to show up and actively do. So maybe like morning routine, non-negotiables, work, self-care, have Instagram stories built in there. What about your content strategy? Where's that going to fit in? Batch on a weekend. Okay, cool. So weekend's going to be for batching for now. I love that idea. And what is your content strategy? Are you going to do videos? Are you going to do blog posts? I also really recommend recycling as much as possible. So blog posts and your Facebook group. Cool. As much as you can to recycle content. So if you do, maybe in her Facebook group, she's going to need to get someone to do Pinterest for me. We can automate it, Meg. We'll automate it in Lazy Girl's Guide to Business. Hold your horses. But yeah, let's say Meg has her Facebook group. That's where a big chunk of her community is, and she wants to go live in that group once per week and film a video. Then what I would like her to do is to take that Facebook Live that she did in her group. I like going live because people get a connection with you. They feel like they're kind of hanging out with you. Then she's going to download that live, put it on YouTube. Then she's going to take that YouTube video and embed it into her blog post and then write a blog underneath it, share that blog all over Pinterest, and then email that blog to her email list. So she's really only made one piece of content, but she's found a way to recycle it from Facebook Live to YouTube to a blog post, which then gets emailed out to her list, and then all of her social media directs back to that blog post. And within that blog, maybe she has a way for people to opt in and to grow her email list and things like that. So I really recommend creating. It's almost a form of automation, but it's like a recycling as much as you want and as much as you can. Meg says, I go live on Thursdays usually, except the last 2 weeks. Oh, brilliant sequence. Why don't I do this? Okay, you can start doing it. It's workflow, and we'll talk about that more in the course as well. I also love doing videos, so you should be on this ASAP. Yeah, a lot of people, yeah, like when you're thinking about your content, think about what feels most natural for you. So some people are just like naturally really great on video. Meg's one of those people, and so it's easiest. If you're a natural writer, don't force yourself to do videos if you feel awkward on video. If you're natural at making videos, it feels easy, you can do them quick, it takes 20 minutes, and start with that, and then distill from there. Blogs and videos are my faves, so that's the zone to lean into. Yes. Okay, amazing. Yeah, so that's the perfect work week, guys, for those of you who are still hanging out and those of you watching on the replay. If you have questions, like Vanessa said, feel free to just like, I'm choking, DM me, or yeah, feel free to ask me any questions.
Awesome.
I talked so much.
No, that is totally cool. We're going to finish up though, because we are over the hour. So I would just want to be aware of the ladies that are watching. But honestly, Alyssa, thanks so much for being here and sharing all your content. Ladies, thanks for taking time to watch this whenever you're watching it. And if you're in our Facebook group, join in. If you want to see other content based on where you're at now and where you want to go, let me know so we can kind of be that bridge to get you there. And feel free to message me, friend me on Instagram, Facebook, whatever. I'm happy to connect and keep me updated. Thanks so much, ladies, for joining. And yeah, we'll see you soon.
Bye, guys.
Okay, bye.